What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Graham Mitchell, and we're here to talk about New York Giants, Washington Commanders, Week 1, Northwest Stadium, September 7th, Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This is my first official preview of the 2025 NFL season. Let's get some round of applause going. Let's get the like buttons hit. Smash those like buttons if you are excited. I'm going to be going through what to watch for on both sides, what the most important battles are, what will determine the final score, the players to look at, and ultimately my final score predictions, guys. We do have all of that coming up. So again, make sure you've hit that like button if you are excited. Hit the subscribe button if you are new around here. Now, to any Giants fans who are out there getting this in your algorithms, I am obviously a Commanders fan. You can tell from the stuff back here, but I am going to try to be as objective as possible because that's something I believe in on this channel. I don't just big up my teams unnecessarily. No, I look at everything through an objective lens. So I hope that you are able to enjoy this preview as well. So let's start with defense, and let's talk about the Giants, because road team. I know it's not like it's not like that in football, but the road team does get to call the coin toss. Doesn't mean they're going to get the ball first, but they get to call the coin toss. Soccer, baseball, you're on the road, you get to go first. So we'll talk about the Giants here. I was looking back at some coverage data, and this is shout out to Eagles Eric at Eagles X's and O's on Twitter. He posts some stuff that broke down different coverage shells and alignments that defenses used last year. The Giants ran cover 1 and cover 3 well above league average. So let's talk about those specifically in the context of facing this Commanders offense. If you run cover 1 against the Commanders, I personally feel like that's a bit of a death wish. Now, you can mix it in, obviously, but if you make that your base operating system, cover 1 strains your secondary. I know the Giants fans are going to be excited, and rightfully so, about the free agent acquisition of Javon Holland, of course, upgrading their safety room. But the outside corners, Paulson Deebo and Deonte Banks, I don't have much faith of them. I know some people like Deebo more than I do, but Banks definitely low on my list. The nickel, he's a baller. Don't get me wrong. But I think that when you're just straining your corners like that, that's not the way you want to live with this secondary. Also, with the Commanders' weapons, Terry McLaurin is no stranger to beating man coverage. Zach Ertz, whoever finds themselves on him, whether it's a nickel player and it's a smaller defender, whether it's a linebacker, Zach Ertz knows how to get open close to the line of scrimmage and beat man coverage. Deebo Samuel, if you give him a bubble screen to the side and he's got blockers next to him, he just needs to break one tackle. He's going to do that because he has led the NFL in yards after the catch for 4 straight seasons. And then all of a sudden it's the race to the house. So I don't think cover 1 is the way to go in this matchup. Cover 3 gets a little more interesting. And honestly, I don't know that would be my preference either. I think you could see some cover 2, cover 4, cover 6, stuff like that. I think that could be more of the answer here. But if they are going to stick to what they did last year and they roll with this cover 1, cover 3 philosophy, if you go cover 3 and you stick to the single high look, well, I just want to know, are you willing to show that much respect to the Commanders' running game? Of course, the Commanders ran all over the Bengals. Granted, the Giants are not the Bengals. Not sure any team in the NFL is the Bengals with how they play defense and how they tackle. But the Commanders' running game, we don't even know who's going to be dressing for the running backs. Is it going to be 4? Are they actually going to dress 4? Is it going to be Chris Rodriguez? Is it going to be Bill? Who knows? So if you run this cover 3 system and you've got 8 guys in the box, well, you're doubting the Commanders' outside threats. And this is where it gets really important for Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown and Deebo and Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane, whoever's outside the numbers. If the Giants are going to do this, you got to win outside because they're putting their resources in the middle of the field. Yes, you're going to have guys going out to cover the flats, obviously, but you're starting with 8 in the box. So if you can win quickly, win off the release on the outside, you're going to dictate how the game flow goes. So again, this cover 1, cover 3 style, the single high style the Giants have preferred, I almost would be expecting not to see that in this matchup. But again, that's just my opinion on the matter. What I think the most interesting conversation to have here is if the Giants' best part of their team, it's not even up for debate. If any Giants fans feel differently, leave a comment, please, because I would be delighted to hear it. But I think everyone and their mom is going to agree the best part about this Giants team is the defensive line. I mean, when you've got Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter Jr., could be the best defensive line in the NFL. So I don't understand why you wouldn't say that's the strength of the team. This is the problem. I went back and I looked at how Jayden Daniels performed against teams that were able to generate pressure last year. Specifically, I looked at games he played against teams that were top 10 in pressure rate. I threw out the second Cowboys game because he only played one half, but other than that, I looked at all of them. So in those games, there were 6 of them. The Commanders had 6 games against teams that were top 10 in pressure rate. In those games, Jayden Daniels averaged 63.8 rushing yards and had 3 rushing touchdowns. Compare that to his season average of 51.3 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns in games not against those top 10 teams. So really, if you want to look at his average rushing yards in the 14 games when he played teams in the bottom 20 for pressure percentage, his rushing average is actually somewhere in the 40s. It's the 63.8 that drove it up when he played these high pressure teams. So the problem here is if the Giants are able to rip through the offensive line and Brian Burns in the backfield, he's got Jayden Daniels wrapped up for a sack and he wriggles out of it, you have just directed him to a spot in the offensive line to run through. A gap, B gap, C gap, bounce it outside, whatever. There is a spot that is now open for him because the Giants won the initial battle, but you didn't seal the deal, which brings me to another solution to this. You go with a mush rush, which is basically you move in and collapse the pocket as a unit, but you never fracture. You keep your structure. It's almost more of what you would expect from an offensive line where you move as a cohesive unit. The Giants can obviously do that. They have the talent to do that and collapse the pocket slowly, but that also means you're willing to give Jayden a little bit more time and you're willing to lower your maximum possibility as individual rushers. Dexter Lawrence is not going to put up the same numbers. Abdul Carr is not going to put up the same numbers because they're not going 100% full throttle trying to get to the quarterback as quickly as they can. That makes sense from the perspective that you're keeping Jayden in the pocket. I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers did an outstanding job of this, and it's no surprise Jayden got nothing done on the ground in that game. But the issue there is if your best players are on the defensive line and you're hamstringing their possible impact in the game, well, then you've actually lowered your team's overall ceiling in this game because they can't get a sack. They can't get a strip sack. They can't get a strip six. They can't force pressure, make Jayden step into a throw that he doesn't want to. The timing's off and he throws an interception. It's a philosophical battle that you're going to have to be constantly fighting throughout this entire game. And maybe you have to update it as things go through. Maybe you are trying to get him on the ground early and it's not working. So you say, you know what? Ease up. We're just going to hold contain, keep him in the pocket. It's going to be a lot of pressure on not just the Giants players, but the Giants coaching staff to figure out how they want to approach this. Because once again, just to reiterate myself here, the best players are on the Giants defensive line, but if they're not going full out to get Jayden on the ground, then you're actually limiting the abilities of your best players. It's an interesting conversation. The Commanders defense, kind of similar to the Giants. They also ran cover 1 more than the league average, but there's also a lot of cover 0. And we know that the Commanders want to get to those looks even more this season. Whitt Jr., Dan Quinn, they've said it all off season. We are bringing pressure on third down. We're going man coverage. We're getting after the quarterback, bringing extra blitzers. Basically every third and fourth down of the entire preseason, cover 0, cover 1. You know that the pressure is coming. That means there's going to be strain on your corners. My biggest question here is, can you earn the right to rush the passer on third down? To steal a phrase from Whitt Jr., can you earn the right to rush the passer? To do that, that means you got to slow the Giants down on first and second down. And that was really tough for this defense last year because they just couldn't stop the run against anybody. And Tyrone Tracy might have some fumbling issues, but he is a good player. My question is, what adjustments are going to be made if the Giants find success early with running the ball? Or not even running the ball, but screens, lateral passes, very quick passes that act almost as extensions of the running game. And the Giants are consistently getting to 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. What are the adjustments that are going to be made there? Are you going to look to Kane Medrano and Jordan McGee? Are you going to look for more speed in the center of the field to hopefully extend your tackling range? Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louver are outstanding players, but do they have as much range as Medrano and McGee? No, they don't. That's not me saying those players are better. It's not me saying those players are better options, but just in terms of the different looks that you have available to you, the personnel that you have available to you, it could be an interesting alternative. And we know the coaching staff loves Jordan McGee. They seem very intrigued by Kane Medrano, so that's just something that I'll be watching. Just saying, not that it's a game changer, but just keep an eye on it. Let's talk about offense. It's very similar to what I was just talking about for the Giants. The key is going to be, can you get to 3rd and 3? Can you get to 3rd and 4? Keep the Commanders out of these exotic pressure packages. Do not allow them to pin their ears back. Make them sit in zone coverage, because if it's 3rd and 3 and you get a simple mesh concept, it's probably a first down. It's a very easy way to pick up a short gain. And if you're close to the line of scrimmage, or close to the first down marker, then you're probably going to get it if the Commanders stick with this man coverage look. However, we know that they don't want to play zone. They were forced to play zone more than they wanted to last year, and it also just strains things such as communication. Going back to my friend Eagles Eric, one of the things he said when he was on this channel is if every team could play man coverage on every single play, they would, because it takes away all aspects of communication and it's all down to individual skill. If you have the skill advantage, obviously you're going to want to utilize that, but it's not always tenable to do that. Without Andrew Thomas, if he doesn't play, he could play, but he also could not. My question is, can the Giants offensive line hold up? Because again, the Commanders are going to be bringing pressure. They're going to have 5-6 men blitzing, but even if it's only 5 rushing the passer, you're going to get single blocks all across. Does that mean you have to keep in a tight end? Do you have to get a chip before he leaks out? Are you keeping your running back in on protection? And then what effect does that have on the back end? All questions that are going to be need to be answered. And can you bring the Commanders defense up closer to the line of scrimmage? Whether it's a million short passes like it felt Daniel Jones was throwing anytime these teams played last year, whether it is success in the running game, can you force those corners? Can you force those members of the secondary to creep up closer to the line of scrimmage? Because as soon as you do that, Russell Wilson's not the guy who was making Pro Bowls, but he's still got that deep ball on him, that moon ball that feels like it goes a mile into the air before it drops into the receiver's waiting hands. He hit a couple of those when the Steelers played the Commanders last year. Granted, he was picking on Benjamin St-Juste, and Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos and Mike Sainristil are very different from Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St-Juste and those other players that were out there. But still, Wilson can hit those. And when you've got Nabers and Robinson, you've got guys who can come up with catches, but you have to set that play up. You can't go to it right out the gates. So can the offense force the Commanders to sink down and open that up? And then finally, red zone running. The draft edition of Cam Skattebo, look, Skattebo might be your bell cow one day. Don't think he's there right now. I don't think he's going to get the first carry. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to get the majority of the carries. But when you get into the red zone, can Skattebo help punch it into the end zone? That's something that the Giants really struggled with last year. And again, on the flip side of that, does the Commanders' new size help? Do the additions of Javon Kinlaw and Eddie Goldman and Dietrich Wise, these mammoths in the middle of the field, can you get a resistance at the line of scrimmage so that Skattebo can't get that extra yard or two and pick up a head of steam and burst into the end zone? On the other side, with the Commanders here, how unpredictable can you be? I think this is definitely an advantage that the Commanders have. And a lot of people have talked about the Commanders wide receiver room is not all of that. And there's troubles because Brandon Coleman and Sam Cosmi and Noah Brown were injured and Terry McLaurin wasn't practicing. All of that is true. But if we just think about the players that are available to the Commanders, look at the different looks that they can get to. So Terry McLaurin's your bona fide X, contested catch master, knows how to beat man coverage, knows how to beat zone. He can go deep, he can play short. We know what he does. Noah Brown is this unique player. He's tall and physical and strong, but he can wiggle. He can get open. He's not just some burly receiver who only uses strength to get open. No, he can move around smaller corners and create separation. Deebo Samuel can do anything within 10 yards, and he can go deep sometimes, but you got to be aware of digs, slants, comebacks, jet sweeps, screens, handoffs. He can motion in the backfield. He can do he gets to so many different looks. And same thing, zone coverage, you find the soft spot, get him the ball, he's going to break a tackle and move on. Man coverage, if you get him in motion going horizontal, he's going to break that first tackle, and what are you going to do from there? Jalen Lane, 4.3 speed. How are you going to contain him? The new gap scheme running with the agility and mobility of Brandon Coleman moving to guard, Laramie Tunsil, Josh Conerly Jr. Now that you can have more movement, more pulling guards, pulling tackles, gap scheme stuff, how does that impact the running game, and how unpredictable does that make you? I mean, there was a play last year where John Bates lined up at left tackle and Brandon Coleman was your tight end. If you're in 11 personnel, trips right, Deebo on the side, and then you motion him in the backfield, and all of a sudden you're in 21, what does that do to the defense? What matchups have you just created? These are all questions that need to be answered by the Giants defense, and they need to be answered in real time in the context of going against a no-huddle styled offense. So it's something that it's a little bit, I don't know what to call it, nerdy. I don't even really know what label to put on it, but it is something that seems like a small component of the game, but it actually can dictate an awful lot here because as we know, the NBA, the NFL, professional sports, they are dictated by matchups, and the Commanders have the ability to create and get to matchups they want to see. How can you take the pressure off of Jayden Daniels? whenever the Commanders ran into good teams, good defenses last year, we know that the running game fizzled out, and it felt like everything was on Jayden's shoulders. There's a lot of fourth down conversions. There's a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. Can you get an early lead? Beyond that, can you win first down? Instead of being in 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10, can you be in 2nd and 4? Can you just make life easy on the guy? And if you do, he's going to deliver because we know the type of player that Jayden Daniels is. And then finally, how does the offensive line look, not just in pass protection, but with their speed and athleticism setting up the run? I just touched on this, but I think so much is being made about Josh Conerly's going against Abdul Carter and Laramie Tunsil just being who he is, a natural pass protector. But can you set up the run with these players? It's easy to forget about that because it felt like Jayden had to do it all last year. He led the team in rushing with nearly 900 rushing yards. That's great, but that's not what you want every single play, day in and day out, game in and game out. So can the offensive line set up the run? That's something to watch here. Individual matchups before I get to my final score prediction here. Josh Conerly Jr. against the pass rushers. Yes, I was just talking about the running game, but the pass rush is going to be tough because he's going to be tested. Going up against Abdul Carter, who we did see in the Big Ten championship game, 35 pass protection reps, no sacks, no hurries, no pressures. But it's a lot different with Abdul Carter and his college teammates against Josh Conerly and his college teammates now being in the NFL. Conerly's got great players next to him on the offensive line, but if we're looking at who is the weakest member of the offensive line, you're going to say Nick Allegretti most likely. And if it's not him, it's Conerly. So you're going to see the Giants trying to set up things on that right side of the line, whether it is Abdul Carter, whether it is Brian Burns, Thibodeau. Maybe you get Dexter Lawrence on a stunt to the outside. Who knows? They might get freaky with it. But he's going to be tested. He's going to be put under a lot of pressure. Deebo Samuel against whoever it is that's in front of him. They're not going to have someone travel with him because he's not that type of receiver, but can he exploit the different mismatches? When you get him against a linebacker, can you get Deebo on a wheel? Can you get Terry coming on a 12-yard dig with Deebo on a wheel to the outside, and it's man coverage, this cover one that we know the Giants like to play? Can you isolate that mismatch? Can you get Deebo, if there's a soft zone, can you get Deebo on a little bubble screen, and all of a sudden he's got 15 yards after catch? Whoever's in front of him, can he win that matchup? And how different does that make the Commanders' offense? Because they didn't have a player like that last year. Yes, they tried to use De'Ami Brown in that sort of role on the screens, and they tried to manufacture different things, specifically with Zach Ertz over the middle of the field. But Deebo being a true master of that, what does he do? Marshawn Lattimore and Amos against Malik Nabers. Again, I don't think either one of these guys is going to travel with Nabers because they seem to trust them both. But wherever Nabers is on the field, you need eyes on him because he is a game changer. In my opinion, he's already the 4th best receiver in the NFL. By the end of this season, he could be even better than that. I got Justin Jefferson number 1, Jamar Chase number 2, A.J. Brown number 3, Malik Nabers number 4. And he could be better than that. I know there's a lot of great receivers in the NFL. You've got your CeeDee Lambs. You've got your Brian Thomas Jr.'s. You've got Tyreek Hills. You've got a bunch of players that you can point to. I like Nabers better than all of them. And again, I might be underselling him. He might be better than 4th. So get eyes on him, and specifically those deep shots that I mentioned. Do not let him get going. Pretty much all the damage he did last year was short, close to the line of scrimmage. It was against terrible corners who are afraid to guard him. Now, things have changed. While the Commanders' secondary has improved, the Giants also have a better quarterback now. So expect different looks, but still don't disrespect him. Don't constantly leave your corners in cover 0, cover 1 if he is giving you the work, because this is a great player. And once he gets going, he's going to stay going for the rest of the game. And my final matchup here, Whitt Jr. versus Russell Wilson. Things were very predictable throughout the preseason, and it's the preseason. I take it with a grain of salt. But while you might not be revealing your playbook, you're starting to install the principles of your team, the fabric of what makes you who you are. The Commanders, as I've said a million times now, want to play cover 0, cover 1 on 3rd down. Russell Wilson has seen a lot in his NFL career. Whatever disguises you're going to come up with, whether you've got 4 back and you're rotating someone down to play cover 3, whether it's cover 0 but you're dropping everyone out, whether you're getting to inverted cover 2, whether you are just going cover 0, full on blitz, however it is, whatever you're doing, you got to win that matchup. You got to keep him off balance, especially if the Giants are able to win that 1st and 2nd down and they set up a 3rd and manageable. Anything inside 3rd and 5, I want to see ingenuity from Whitt. I like him. He's an aggressive guy. He seems that he's a very intelligent man. Anybody who's a coordinator in the NFL is a genius. Whether they look like a genius against the other geniuses of the NFL, that's a different story. Eric Bieniemy didn't look so great once he came here, right? But Eric Bieniemy is still a football genius. Whitt Jr. is a football genius, but he's going against a quarterback who has seen basically every coverage in the book and is a football genius in his own right. In that vein, how can the Giants, what can they do to set up Russell Wilson for success, especially if Andrew Thomas is not available? How can you help him out, make his life easier so that when he does get these opportunities where the Commanders are playing this aggressive defense, how can he punish them? Those are all things to watch. Ultimately, my final score prediction here, let's get to it. So the line is 6.5 points in the Commanders' favor. Well, it was 6.5. It dropped to 5.5. I think it's back to 6 now. We'll see what it settles at kickoff. This is not betting advice. Let me just say that. This is not gambling advice. I'm merely using this as a reference to talk about what the experts are predicting. My official score, I'm going to go Commanders 24, Giants 20. I do think some of the unpredictability will work to the Commanders' benefit, but I think they're also going to be a little bit off page just because a lot of offenses start the year behind defenses, and this is a great defense that the Giants have, specifically the defensive line. I've got my questions about their corners. I think the secondary as a whole could take some time to gel a little bit, and it's going to be limited by those corners, but I do think you'll see some success from both sides, offensively and defensively. I think the Commanders will somewhat control the flow of the game. Could be tied for a while, but I think you're always going to be looking at it like the Commanders are the better team. With that being said, the Giants can make plays. When you have the power on the defensive line they do, when you have a Malik Nabers, when you have a Russell Wilson, you can make plays of your own. And this might be a game that is decided by just one big play. So again, ultimately, I'm going to go Commanders 24, Giants 20. I think Russell Wilson throws an interception to Trey Amos. That makes the difference. That's the only turnover of the game. And I will be at that game. I'll be able to report firsthand. I'm going to hopefully try to vlog it. That'd be pretty cool. Bring it to the channel. But that is my official prediction, guys. Commanders 24, Giants 20. What is your predicted score? Make sure you go to the comment section. Let me know. Also, make sure to talk about whatever the matchups, anything that I said in this video that you have thoughts on. Make sure you do leave it below as well. And feel free to also bring up anything that I didn't cover here. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you're new around here and you want to check out more content. As always, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.